Okay. It's time called order the School District 22 Governing Board of Toltec School District. And I think, Dennis, could you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Pam, could you please help us first?
As an adult and a treasure hunter, I am committed to search for our science, skills, and intelligence that exists in all children and youth. I believe all children are capable of success, no exceptions.
I missed this part, but we can have a moment of silence. All right. We have a roll call, please. Will you do that one?
Mark Lindgren,
Here.
Pamela Long,
Here.
Dennis Callahan,
Here.
Timothy Cason,
Here.
all present.
And we're moving on to the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda. Good.
All right, well, Dennis Callahan makes a motion. I second. And we have a second by Tim Cason. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Aye. Do we have, now we move on to the approval of the action on consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right. A second. All right, we have a motion by Dennis Callahan, a second by Timothy Cason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passed. All right, moving on to the. All right, now we move on to the information and discussion items. And we have a superintendent summary, Kate. So I can give some help here.
I'm going to mention some recognitions for the month of September. We're going to honor them publicly and congratulate them when we're able to open up our meeting as deemed safe by the health department. And so I do want you to notice that there are some difference in numbers, but I do my best to equate things as appropriately as possible. And so this adding these others to be recognized gives the staff and students is more appropriately equated for them to have an opportunity to be recognized with the differences in enrollment. So for ACEs, a treasure hunter is Diamond Campa, who is a music teacher. Another treasure hunter is Hannah Million, a paraprofessional. Kidded Hope, Jeremiah Nolasco, first grade. Kidded Hope, Guillermo Pantoa Robles, second grade. Kidded Hope, Trevor Neely, third grade. Kidded Hope, Garrett Conklin, seventh grade. And at TES, treasure hunter Melissa Farr, who is a teacher of the kindergarten and first grade combination class. And a Kidded Hope, Janital Maria, sixth grade student. And another Kidded Hope, Heather Cordes, Neri, a fifth grade student. So congratulations to those being recognized at the schools. And more to come on why they were recognized and all that by the principals at another meeting. The first days of school, we had hot spots available on or before the first day of school, miraculously. And so there was a lot of work that went into that. And we do have some connectivity issues that continue for families. The timing out of hot spots, we had some problems with that, and so there was some reprogramming that was required. But the connectivity issues, we're still trying to address those, and there's an action item on that very issue later on in the agenda. But the staff remain positive and hardworking, so I appreciate that. Some important dates, the end of the first quarter is October 8th already, and the fall break is October 12th through the 16th, and we hope to open with a hybrid scenario on Monday, the 19th of October, which is the Monday following fall break. We've been able to expand meals to the youth of our community. That's all the way up to age 18 instead of just students. That was recently improved at the federal level. And then yesterday we did have some packaged burritos that had, some of them, not all of them, had some mold after they defrosted. And so we did try to alert the families, and then of course all the food was removed from the freezer and discarded. So we apologize for that issue. We need bus drivers, so anyone interested in getting their CDL and driving the bus, let us know. Our accreditation, we had an engagement for a review, which the review is quite expensive, and that was supposed to take place in last year. And so it was officially delayed, and we just heard recently that our accreditation is extended through the 30th of June, 2023 without any interruption. And then our new engagement review with new standards and new protocol. It is a different company that took over the accreditation process here in Arizona, and that will be in the school year 22-23. That's all.
So now we go to information discussion, we go to the business manager.
Okay, so you do have we'll start with the budget report that is before you. You can see that we have approximately $574,000 in budget capacity. That number is going to change probably considerably once things are factored in. We will be doing a revision in December, and we do see it. We are currently seeing a fairly large number of reduction in our average daily membership that we will have to take into consideration for that. We will be talking in the grants here in just a moment about the enrollment stability grant, which will be able to help with that in some ways, but we will be having to see some reduction in that budget capacity coming up. You do not have your graphs. The program that we use, Forecast 5, does not quite have us updated for the 2020-2021 school year yet. So that should be, I was hoping it was going to be done by the time I had to get this report to Denise, but it was not available. So you will start seeing those next month. Your handy graphs that will show you how much we're spending compared to what we projected and compared to the previous year. Any questions on the budget?
I don't have a graph, so I couldn't tell you.
You'll have your fancy graphs next month, I promise you. Well, I will try to promise you that. I can't, I'm at the mercy of another company, so I can't
Work on the
guarantee
graphs.
everything.
That's the only way I can understand anything.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, we'll move right over to the budget, or to the grants report, sorry. There's quite a bit going on with the grants report. First of all, the gym roof is completed with the exception of a small section of painting. It was supposed to be completed by this past weekend, but there was some confusion among the contractors on whether they were painting or just coming to see what they were supposed to be painting. They thought they were supposed to be seeing, they didn't paint yet, so they will be painting this weekend. But that project is, from a roof perspective, completed.
Yeah, the roof itself.
Looks good. We had our walkthrough. They pointed out some very minor issues they just still needed to cover. They've already taken care of those issues. And
I was just going to say, they had to walk through and then they've already taken care of it.
yep, already taken care of all the issues. And they were all very minor issues. There was nothing in the issues that they pointed out that were compromising the integrity of the roof. So they were.
No, I've done walkthroughs before. And it usually is that, it's just small little detail work that they need to finish up and take care of.
Yep.
I understand where you're coming from, what you're talking about.
Yep, so that one's done and looks good and should serve us for many years to come. A couple other projects that are going on in your Toltec Elementary School doors and the building C&D roof. It does say waiting for approval for hazardous material testing. We did receive that approval late Friday night. I have sent out purchase orders to the company to do that, and they're going to be scheduling that very soon to get out and do the hazardous material testing so we can move on to the next step in both of those projects. The weatherization for Arizona City Elementary School, I received that report today. So I will be forwarding that to our liaison at the SFB so we can move on to the next stage in that project also. And then a couple other projects that are going on with the SFB or have gone on with the SFB. We're replacing an air conditioning unit at ACES, and we are needing to install a new backflow preventer here at TES for the 6-inch fire line. That was something that Eloy alerted us to, and the SFB said they would help us with that. That's
Oh, good.
fairly expensive.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's an expensive piece of work.
So they said they would help us with that. So that's all been approved. Now we're just waiting for the work to be done. The grants, the elementary and secondary school emergency relief fund, that's the ESSER grant. That's our COVID relief money. We were allocated approximately $282,000. Some of the things that we are put toward that money is replacing water fountains with bottle filling stations, iPads and hotspots. Those are things that we needed. Additional training for staff, salaries for the staff to distribute technology, sanitizing equipment, sanitizing supplies. Those are just some of the things that we've put into that grant to utilize the monies there. And then this enrollment stability grant, this is another COVID relief funds. Our allocation is based on the difference in our enrollment from last year to this year. And then it's 98% of that difference, basically, in the way of our normal funding. So we normally get roughly $4,300 per student. And so they factor in how much difference we have in our student count, and then they give us 98% of that at the $4,000 rate. It was originally sold to us that we were going to be able to use that, or we interpreted what they were saying, we would be able to use that directly for M&O expenses. They have since come out and said that it must be utilized for COVID-19 related expenses. So that puts us in a little bit of a hard situation. However, they've been a little bit liberal in what that means. So if something is, as an example, if a staff person's job has substantially changed due to COVID-19, we can put those funds, we can put that expenditure in.
You can reallocate it to that.
We can reallocate that. So we are going to be able to do that with some things to be able to give us some relief in the M&O fund. So that's a new one. That one we just applied for. I had to get the application in by Friday. Is that right, Denise? Friday? I think it was Friday. We submitted it by Friday, and so we won't know what the allocation will be for another. It's based on our 40th day, by the way, 40th day of school. We won't know what that allocation will be for a little while. And then just finally with the entitlement grants, they're submitted. We're waiting for final approval on a few of them, and we'll get that all done and allocated, and you'll see that coming. You'll have your budget reports for those also coming in the next month. So, okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? No?
Well, that's a mouthful.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. Okay, we got C, the school district bond. Did you talk to us about that, Kim?
So we do have our final draft of our pamphlet attached here. We were just waiting for it to be translated into Spanish also. So that's been completed. And, it'll be voted on the 3rd of November. And we really need this bond because we want to, have more sanitary schools, and we just want to remove the icky carpet everywhere, be able to have the custodians be able to mop and polish the floors. That would be wonderful to be able to do that. And then we have our restrooms at TES need to be renovated. They need to be made wheelchair accessible. There's several overdue facility renovations, as we go through our facilities, but we also need some new facilities to get some much needed preschool, programs started, at both campuses that will serve our, our community. That's a very needed area. And then instead of long-term and suspending students, we'd like to have a program where we can continue their education. So we'd like to do that also. And we'll also have worn out buses. So our budget and transportation is usually pretty high. We've got a lot of mechanical issues and such. So we'd be able to use some bond funds to replace those worn out buses. We were blessed to get 2 buses in the last year and a half, so that was great. But we need more upgrades in our transportation department. And then we also need some upgrades in our technology. We're behind the times, even though we have been able to move to one-to-one with students, but we need other technological upgrades in the classrooms for the teachers and, to facilitate student learning, moving on to this century, catching up with everybody else. So we need this bond. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to get it passed.
Any questions? All right, do we have a call to the public?
None.
That means we move on to the ASB Policy Advisory on 32, number 2.
Before you, this was reviewed last board meeting, so this is the second read and approval. It basically boils down to 2 policies and a policy alert. So we do have that policy in here to just change the wording from annual to daily. And so these policies, policy IHA, Basic Instructional Program, and what this does is it puts on September 25th or a date before or after the 25th, which would be September 24th for our district, to have a Sandra Day O'Connor Civics Celebration Day. And so basically the biggest part of the day is supposed to be spent on civics. So it's not going to be a national holiday or a state holiday. It's just a day of learning in the classroom. So that's all about that policy IHA. And then policy KB, parent involvement in education. This is that that's some links to the Department of Education parent handbook. Their rights and things would be easily accessible.
Correct. Do we have a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the revised policies IHA, KB, and GCOE as presented in ASPA Policy Alert and Advisory 673 and 675.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion by Ms. Van, second by Jimmy Kaysen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? Passes. As we move on from the SB policy, we'll move on to the policy BGF suspension.
So in policy BGF, the board can consider suspending policy BGB, which pertains to a first and second reading, so that you can go ahead and approve policy that's not just revised but new and so forth. So I'm asking for a temporary suspension of policy BGB for the purpose of expediting the approval of the next, the policies and the next action item. These policies and the next action item already have, the effective date of these rules was, when everything came into place, was August 14th.
So it's already in place.
Yes.
So do we have a motion to approve the suspension of the BGF for our next adoption policy revised 32, number 3?
Make a motion to approve the temporary suspension of policy BGB for the purpose of expediting approval of policy revision in the action item C.
Very good. Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Van Long and a second by Mr. Timothy Cason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? Passes. Now we move on to C, TSD Policy Advisory Volume 32, number 3.
In here you have in this ASBA Policy Services Advisory, we have policy ACA, which is sexual harassment and regulation ACAR. And this is changes to existing policy and regulation to clarify that sexual harassment in the workplace is being addressed. There's and it's defined differently in the next policy, which is policy ACAA, Title IX, sexual harassment and regulation ACAA -R. This is new. And Title IX is a federal civil rights law that was passed as part of the Education Amendments of 1972. It mandates, you know, what we're used to, but prior to May 6, 2020 rule, Title IX did not refer to sexual harassment, but the final rule regulations now define sexual harassment and establish detailed procedures for how school districts respond to allegations of sexual harassment. So it's pretty long policy and regulation with steps on what we're supposed to do. So these policies, were a result of the final rule and on May 6, 2020, and they became effective August 14, 2020.
I think that's a good thing. I would like to make a motion to approve policies ACA and ACAA and regulations ACA-R and ACAA-R so that we are in alignment with the rulings released by the U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights.
All right, do we have a second?
I second.
All right. Ms. Long has made a motion, and Mr. Timothy Cason is seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? Okay. We now move on to the D, Student Council Constitution, 2021.
I just have one question on that. Since the student council, as you know, aside from the sponsors, the students that are elected to the offices, they're elected. What happens, because I was looking through it and I didn't see it, what happens if a student that is either treasurer or, you know, president, if they move? Do you guys, would you have another election to replace that student?
Actually, by the time they sent me the first constitution and had to send an update, which I had asked him do yesterday, they had treasurer, secretary, a student not be able to, so they had a change in there and they just went the second runner up. So,
Okay.
in the election.
So if someone were to leave, then that's normally what they would do. They wouldn't someone would have to you know,
Well, I
put the
don't,
posters on the wall and all that good
Yeah.
fun stuff.
no, they've done that in cases before. I've seen where one of the kids couldn't perform the tasks and the duties that they were having. The second runner up got it. So I never even thought about that because that's just the way they were doing it. I've seen it happen twice already.
Yeah, because they meet twice a month, which is great. That's great, to do that after school. So that's the only question that I had on it.
So the sponsors are, Gregory Ryder again, and then a new sponsor, Brittany Payne, and then our student council president at ACES this year is, Katie Lindgren, so congratulations, Mr. Lindgren.
Thank you.
So they've got some good sponsors there, that's for sure.
Good.
I would like to make a motion to approve the 2020-2021 Arizona City Elementary School Student Council Constitution.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Pam Long and a second by Mr. Dennis Callahan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? And I'm happy for my daughter in that position. We move on to E, the fundraisers and trips for 2021.
So I compiled all of the possible fundraisers and field trips to one list. ACES did provide one, so that's there for your reference, but asking you to approve the district list of possible student field trips and fundraisers for this school year.
I make a motion to approve the fundraising and field trips as presented by both schools.
I second. All right, we have a motion by, get my tongue together. We have a motion by Dennis Callahan, a second by Tim Cason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? Motion passed. We do have a resignation of a teacher.
Junior high English language arts teacher for Arizona City Elementary resigned and respectfully, she was new to our district this year. And she's respectfully requesting that you accept her resignation and waive the contract penalty due to some unexpected health issues that she is dealing with.
I make a motion to accept the resignation, but do not grant the release of the waiver of the $2,000 penalty.
I'm sorry, Mr. Callahan, I didn't hear you.
I make a motion, we accept the resignation, but do not waive the $2,000 penalty.
We have a second? Does anyone make a different motion?
This is a new teacher to our district. There's no really, how many days does she work?
2.
2 days. We wouldn't even get our $2,000, we're not even gonna get our $2,000 back. We don't even owe her that much that we could even recamp it, so.
Well, that's why I'm saying just go ahead and release her from that contract because she's,
I don't mind releasing her from the contract, but I'm not gonna waive the penalty. Now, if they were waiving the penalty, what's the point of putting it in the contract? Everybody knows what the contract is when they sign it. They know how it works, and then as soon as something goes wrong, they want us to change the contract. We keep on doing this, and everybody's gonna want to do it for somebody who worked 2 days. What's gonna be the excuse for anybody to not wait?
And question, COVID was in full swing when the
Yeah,
contract was
indeed.
signed, correct? Well,
I'm willing to accept the resignation, but I'm not willing to waive the $2,000 penalty.
it's a tough one.
It is, because it's a
It's
medical
a tough
issue.
one.
But it's cost us more
Yeah,
than she's even made to hire her, let alone that, and then pay her too.
and are we paying a long-term sub right now for that position?
They're currently filling it in-house, I believe.
With a certified teacher?
I believe actually admin is working to fill that role currently.
I don't know how they've been. These positions in your junior high area are more difficult to fill.
I'm gonna second Dennis's motion.
All right, I have a motion by Dennis Callahan, that releases her from, her contract, but, the penalty of $2,000 will be, she will pay the penalty of the $2,000 contract, and a second, by Ms. Pam Long. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against?
Ain't doing that, but
You have to have a line somewhere.
I know.
Now, we're going to G, capacity coach.
We hired a capacity coach new to our district at ACES this year that took a pay cut to come to our district. And when I was working with the principal for that position, I didn't realize that our other coach in place would be making less than our new hire. So I'm proposing that we grant an additional step on the salary schedule to acknowledge her years in leadership with Toltec School District.
Mrs. Hall is an absolute wonderful teacher. I'm sure she's a great capacity coach because she has a big heart for all the kids and for the district. So I would like to make a motion to approve a step in salary for a tenured capacity building coach.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Pam Long to accept the capacity coach step, and a second by Timothy Cason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we have the American Tower Corporation proposal, number 8.
Okay, so you know our tower probably out here, our cell tower that is on the Toltec School property. We've had it for quite some time. Our current ground lease expires in 2035. However, there are currently no tenants on the tower, which, looking forward and knowing the consolidation that has happened in the industry, we just had T-Mobile and Sprint merge. There's been other mergers that have happened that have brought the available number of tenants down to a very small number of tenants for that tower. So American Tower has requested us to take a 40% reduction in our rent, or take a $66,000 cash out buyout from them for the tower. What this does is, if we have 3 options. We can say, no, we're going to stay with the current contract and go forward that way. What that does, or has the potential to do, is at any point in time, they can cancel the contract and we get nothing more from them. So they're asking for a good faith measure for us to reduce the cost. They don't have any tenants on it. They're not making any money off of it. It's sitting there. If we take a reduction, it's signaling to them that maybe, they can keep that tower. They might be able to hold on to it for a little while longer and get some tenants, make some money on it, continue to work with us on the rent. So there's 2 options. One is we don't do anything. We say, no, we're going to stay where we're at. Second one is to take the 40%. They can still, even at taking a 40% cut off, they could say, no, we're just going to pull out. We're going to be done with the contract and we get nothing more. The third option is to take the $66,000 buyout, at which point they have fulfilled their contract with us in the way of the amount of money. They will owe us no more money. They have up to 5 years to get a tenant onto that tower, or they will remove the tower from our property. Does all that make sense?
Well, I understand it completely.
So we have 3 options, basically. We stay the same and we tell them, I'm sorry, no, we're gonna stay where we're at. 2, we take a 40% reduction. 3, we take a $66,000 back.
All right, I think we just take our money and run.
Are we using that tower?
No.
No, if we use the tower, we would have to pay rent.
Pay for it.
We'd have to pay rent.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose.
Right.
And they put towers, they've got so many towers up, they put them up so fast now. They want towers that look like windmills and palm trees. They don't want one that.
And they want towers that are in a metropolitan area.
You're just talking about the more towers in a more populated area. This is not populated, so obviously nobody's using the tower.
And if we did the cash out one-time payment, they would have to pay us 66. They couldn't say no. we
Right,
just-
their current offer to us is 66.
Okay.
So we have.
And then if they don't utilize the tower in 5 years, they have to remove it.
Yes.
And they pay to remove it.
They pay to remove it. We don't, we're bought out, we're done.
Tim,
I'm sorry, pass that again.
if we accept the $66,000, they have 5 years from the day we accept the offer to either utilize the tower or remove it.
Correct,
And they pay to remove it.
correct. The tower belongs to them. The tower does not belong to us. We lease them the land.
And in the contract, is the contract that we're about to read next, they have to restore the property to its original.
That's correct, yes.
Right, that's what I read.
Where's
Now,
the city?
this American tower has nothing to do with MyLink, but yes, they would restore their property. Yes.
Okay. Did I make a motion we accept the buyout?
I already knew you were gonna say that, okay. I had, okay. Does anyone have 1 second?
What fund will that $66,000 go into, and what can we do with it?
I will have to look into that to let you know exactly.
Because it's like,
And I'll have information.
because I know in the past we sold property thinking we were gonna get money, and all we got was money that we can't use.
It's most likely going to go directly into the M&O fund, because that's where the current payment is going into.
That's repairs. I second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Dennis Callahan and a second by Ms. Pam Long. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? All right, we're going on to I, MiterLink license agreement.
Okay, so we mentioned this to you a couple months ago, that MiterLink is offering the ability to provide some free internet to students in our community. At the time that they were doing it, we could not have rolled that out fast enough to be able to get the students online in time for school. That's why we went with the hotspots. We do still have some students at the hotspots, just they're not working for them. They're either in a dead zone, they're out in an area where they just can't get with those hotspots. So we've worked with MiterLink. They are willing to pay us on a lease $500 annually to lease the space on the roof of both of our gymnasiums, the one here at Toltec and the one at Aces. And in exchange for that, they would provide 100 gigabytes per month of free internet per student. So if you had 2 students in your home, you get 200 gigabytes worth of data. And then above that would be 10 cents per gigabyte beyond that. We would, if we were going to, in order to provide that internet for our students, we would be willing to purchase the routers, but those routers, just like our hotspots are locked down to our devices, that internet would then be locked down to our device. If they want to provide their own router, they can do so, and they can pay for their own internet above and beyond 100 gigabytes. That makes sense.
We just spent, how much did we just spend on the roof over here?
We just spent $300,000 on it.
I'm not willing to drill any holes in that.
They're not going to drill any holes. I spoke directly to them. They're not drilling any holes. They have a large, they equated it to the big thick horse mats that people put down for horses. That would be placed down. Their antenna would be on top of that, and there would be heavy bricks basically to secure it there. They said there would be no permanent or no drilling, because that's one thing when they came over and they looked at it, I said, look guys, I have a brand new roof. I can't have anything going down. They said, we won't attach anything directly to the substrate.
And they'll pay for any damage caused by the antenna blowing over when it blows over.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. How secure is that?
I've been up on the roof where I work. That's what I did for a long, long, long time. Yeah. We got guys with all sorts of antennas and stuff, and they have the mats that are down, and they have just exactly as what you were saying, and they set it down, and put it down with bricks, and none of that stuff's blown over. I've been up there dozens and dozens of times after windstorm after windstorm after windstorm, and I've actually had cooling units blow over, and these things still stood up.
All our trees blew down.
Yeah, and the trees blew down, and these things were still standing,
They're,
so.
they're fairly low profile
Yeah.
too, so their wind resistance is gonna be minimal. I mean, they're not gonna have a lot of wind.
Now, we provide the tire for these, they're up to 110.
We do, and that's why we're asking for the $500 leases to cover any power that we would be spending. However, they are very low power devices. They don't take a lot of power. We've got them on our church. We don't see really any change in our power bill. So
I wanted to just mention that I did take this to our attorney at the county who went through everything, spoke with me, and then came up with this license agreement. I didn't know what we needed. We needed a lease agreement. He said we needed a license agreement. So this license agreement, I did tweak a little bit but this was given to us so this is legally created. So,
Okay, well, I make a motion, we approve that. I mean, my concern is, if we open school, are we gonna use this?
we are still planning, I mean, as Denise has said before, we're still kind of planning an online element, even if we were to open up school for those that don't want to come, so.
I really see that as we go forward, we'll probably end up with a new norm. So we might have families with students that might prefer to learn at home, not just for the rest of the school year, but maybe for a period of time going forward. So I just want to make sure that we're able to accommodate that. Then when we're able to pass the bond and we have an online component in place, online schooling with a lot of online stuff going on.
So again, the antenna's gonna be up there, or is our roof gonna look like it did before with all these wires and everything just laying around everywhere up there?
There'll be a single wire that comes down and runs through the hatch down to plug in down below. So it'll be one wire. All their equipment will be housed outside, but you won't see it. You may see the antenna as you drive up, but it's not gonna be.
It glows blue at night.
It does.
I have one on my house.
Yeah.
They didn't have to drill in my roof. They took a clamp and attached the antenna to the legs of the AC unit.
Yeah, they C-clamp it up there.
Yeah. And it glows at night blue.
Another thing with this I see too, is students who may be sick or something happens to them, they have issues, this whole thing will, on the online thing I think it's gonna be there, it's gonna be around for a while.
Yeah.
Children who are sick at home and they're kind of like,
So essentially, there's no cost to the district.
Yes.
Well, if we buy the routers, yes. So in our current situation, we may buy a router, but we would lock it down to our devices, just like we do with the hotspots. So we would say, in order to ensure that you have internet for your online education, we're going to purchase a router. They're $150, but we will lock those down to our devices.
So as now as a kids, we're talking $1,550,000.
Yes, but we already have the hotspots. So we
They're
won't.
not working.
They are working for most students. There are a select number of students that they're not working for, but we're not going to be providing it for 1,000 students. We will be selective in who we're providing it
And then if the family chooses to buy the router,
Right.
then they'll get this 100 gigabytes of high-speed internet.
But they can only use it for the school.
for. Right. If
the
they buy
family-
the, if they buy the
if
router,
family gets the
that's on
router,
them.
they could use it for whatever, but then they would get, this amount free for the purpose.
So essentially, if you have students in our schools, you can get free internet just by buying the router.
Potentially. If you are a streaming person that you're going to stream a lot of movies, 100 gigabytes not enough.
not gonna do anything.
I don't know, just your everyday.
But if you're a web browser, potentially. Potentially could get you.
Well, I didn't think about that perk, but
Yeah.
And so,
It's so low that they're not gonna be able to do.
but they would want to buy their own router and get that amount free, if they're gonna use it for any other purposes, because that's not gonna go very far, just beyond schooling.
And they can buy a cheap router online for hardly anything. But like I said, it's not gonna get them.
So this is a wireless transmission, I mean, from the antenna,
Yeah, so
it
they will,
transmits wireless to your router?
right, well, they will have so they will go to the house and they will do an install in the house. It will also have an antenna on the house. And yes, it's wireless.
Who
from
pays
their
for
house.
that antenna?
What's that?
Who pays for that antenna?
That's MiterLink equipment. So they will be installing that with MiterLink. When we cancel service, they will go get that antenna off the house.
So if we sign this agreement, then we call MiterLink and say, this dude needs an antenna, they just rush out there and go it up.
They'll go out there as quickly as they can. put
They
in.
schedule it.
Yep, they'll schedule it.
You don't call an office and talk to people. It's all
No,
done. remotely.
that's those days are gone.
Yeah, that's way gone. Remember,
There are no people,
listen,
We do actually have, just as a note, we do as a district actually have direct contact with MiterLink by phone. We can call it and say, hey, we need an install done, and they will get it done as quickly as they can.
It was the owner of the company that
Yes.
paid us a visit to go over everything. But we did try, to see what kind of deal, this was the best deal we could get with internet here in our community.
Well, they do great in Arizona City. I had Quest or CenturyLink and it was horrible. And because of online, I needed something better for my grandson. And it's day and night. It's
Sure.
just, it's great.
They're a good provider, and they're constantly looking to expand, and
well, that's the way Irving started out.
Yeah.
When Irving started out, they were good, but they just got so big, they just can't.
And they're, in talking to the owner, they are continually looking to increase their bandwidth, not just maintain what they've got, but increase their bandwidth so that way as they add more people, they keep that certain level of service. They're not just staying stagnant.
And I did talk to the owner of everything, and he already was taking care of Apache and Eloy, so they came in before us. And we'd be third on the list, and it just didn't take too long.
All right. Anything else? Anyone want to make a motion on MiterLink license agreement?
I'll move.
All right. Can I get a second? Second. All right. I have a motion by Ms. Pam Long, and a second by Tim Cason. All in favor, say aye. All against? Motion passed. We can move on to J, COVID-19 benchmark data.
Just recently, it actually, last week was the week before last was the first week, and then last week, the second week, where the superintendents meet on a weekly basis digitally. And usually there's a representative, well, there's a representative from the county health services there. And so they listen and they try to respond to what we might need. And so they've just now made available the benchmark data that's specific to what, came down from the governor and the executive order 51, that those three benchmark areas to give us data specifically for the district boundary area. So I'm asking, we have the option of going with the data that's for the entire county, or we can go for the data that's specific to our district boundary now that is available. I am asking for a decision tonight just for consistency so that we're not, that I'm not guessing at what data we're going to be using going forward, but I'm asking, for a specific decision for a specific, data to be used, either county-wide or just for our district boundaries.
Well, based on recent news, I don't think we can count on any of the data to be accurate, so I don't feel like we need to be allowing inaccurate and false data to regulate what we do. So I don't feel that we should be allowing any, incorrect or false data to be our guide for anything. Whether it be county or state or federal or whatever, that CDC is already recanting everything. It's changing too fast for us to try to select what data we're going to use when we don't even know what's right. Now, neither does anybody else that's providing the data. They already know they're not counting it correctly and keeping track of it correctly, so it's all incorrect. So how can we decide which incorrect data we want to use? I think we should operate on the data that we have available to us that we know is accurate and use our
Who's
best.
providing the accurate data?
Nobody.
Well, I can't go by something that's not here, that I don't see, it's not tangible. I don't understand how we can, I understand what you're saying. They're recanting a lot of the stuff that they say. But right now we have to go by something. And now that they're recanting it, we're coming down to where they're actually saying, okay, well, it's more and more and more like this. By the time our first quarter is over with, I'm hoping that we'll have it down to where kids are going back to school after this quarter. I mean, I can't promise, but I'm saying after we voted on the kids.
We have the authority today to go back to school.
Well, I understand, but what we're going to do is what I would like to do. I can't say what we're going to do. You guys make your own decisions on that. That's why we're a board. But I'm not going to. I have to have some data. I have to have something. Okay, and then you're going to say you go back to school, then it's a lot of parents aren't going to go for it if we go follow some kind of data.
Well, like again, let's use our own personal judgment, our own better knowledge that we have to say, you know what, why can't we open the school and allow those that want to go to school and the teachers that want to teach, why can't we open up and allow them to go ahead and go to school and then just go ahead with the online for those that don't want to and leave it at that?
Well,
And as the year goes on, if you want to come and get yourself back in school, you can. If you want to stay home, you can. We're going to have minor link. We're going to have both avenues available. So what's stopping us? Inaccurate numbers are stopping us. Inaccurate numbers are keeping our kids out of school. Inaccurate numbers are causing all kinds of hardship in every family. That doesn't even make sense to me. To make a decision on what we know is inaccurate information.
yeah, but we don't know what is accurate, and I can't go by something that isn't
But
there.
I think we should go by some kind of guide.
Yeah.
That way we say we're opening our schools under these guidelines.
Under the Toltec school district, we've got here, it looks like we can bring them back to school after the first quarter, and that's where I would like to go. This is my idea. That's what I've always aimed for and what I've looked for. And at this moment in time, I'd like to go with just the Toltec school district. I don't want to go with Pinal County or anybody else. I want to know what they've got for us. And then I want to make sure that they bring us proper information. And we're finding out more and more, proper information is going to come out. And by the end of this first quarter, I'm betting that they can't push it much longer because they're ruining families. They're pushing people who can't go to work. And it's causing a lot of difficulties for families. But we do have to go by some guideline, at least I believe we do.
That's what I.
And I'm going with the Toltec School District guideline. I don't have all this minutia that we have out there from the rest of the county or any place else. We'll just go by what we have, and we don't have to worry about anyone else. That's where my thoughts lie, and that's what I believe in. So anybody else?
So red is bad. Green is go, yellow is caution, red is stop.
There's like,
Yeah. So it looks like, of course, this is for, week 35 and 36, the most recent, that our district is red.
yeah.
And we've been red all along, but if you look at the number of cases has decreased.
Yeah.
That percentage has gone down.
Well,
So our
above
score is
everything
red.
else, the safety of the kids is what's
Well,
I've always looked for teacher, school, and kid safety. And you know me, I told you from the beginning, safety of the children is number one on my list, safety of the teachers, number two, and the schools themselves fall in line with that. So the kids are first. And I'm not willing to put them on the line for anything. Like I said,
There's nothing wrong with proceeding with caution.
I'm hoping that after this quarter, we will see greens, whatever, show up here. We are not going to go back to school even after this quarter, like we did before. I'm going to see people still being out, not wanting to go into school, not want to do things online. So where we're at this moment, I think I would like to follow the public school district guidelines. So if anybody wants to make a motion on that.
I motion we approve the COVID-19 benchmark data specific to Toltec School District.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion by Jim Cason and a second by Pam Long. All in favor, say aye. All against?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I would like to say that I saw in Canal Central today that Eloy is pushing back until January now, Eloy's elementary school district. And this week, Tuesday, I believe Stanfield opened up, for the kids to come back. But keeping in mind, Stanfield is an extremely rural area, and I believe so we'll see what, happens with Stanfield. Of course, they haven't, I don't know how many kids.
There's other districts that are open, going to school.
They've just opened like this week.
I am,
But I'm cautious to see what happens there. I want to see what happens with them before I stick my toe in the fire. Because I'm not going to
You
allow.
can't get past anything until you start moving. You just sit. and
Well, I
wait.
understand, but we already passed where we would go to the end of the quarter, and I'm going to stick with that one. And after that, if there is any issue or anything like that, I'm looking forward to getting the kids back to school. But since that's already there, I'm going to stick with that one. See if we can follow that, see how close we can get to.
It will be the second, right after, it will be the end of the first quarter very shortly.
And everything's dropping rapidly.
Yeah, that's right now.
So, because I think they're reeling back on some of the stuff that they've been thinking of doing. So let's move on. We talked about, we passed that. We move on to Kate, back to school plan, 2021. We did, pretty much did, and we'll just go ahead and.
so this is basically a plan and subject to revisions as we move along. And so some edits that are here, you initially approved this last meeting, so last month on August 12th. I added the COVID-19 benchmark data specific to our districts, and that's now available at the top of page 4. I removed paperwork packets because we didn't need to provide those as a district for 1 week. If our hotspots weren't available, that was no longer applicable. I added direct contact with families made by teachers. I added that students within a special education self-contained placements are permitted to come onto campus for instruction and services. And added that Monday, October 19th is our scenario 2 target date.
Make a motion, we approve the changes as presented.
We have a second?
I said,
Excuse me. We have a motion by Jeff Callahan, second by Jim Cason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against? L.
I see a Toltec Elementary School District Online Academy coming in our near future for parents who don't want to send their kids back.
I requested out of bill, I'd like to withdraw it this time. Thank you.
You wish to withdraw? Okay. All right, well, I guess we have to vote on that. Do you want to withdraw? Or you just withdraw?
I'd like a motion to withdraw it.
Okay. I'll second that one. Okay, so we have a motion by Dennis County to withdraw L, second by myself, Lindgren. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All against? Closing the meeting, and we are headed to the next meeting date, so we're looking at 14th. How's that work for us?
Oh, smack dab in the middle of fall break.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
Yeah.
but,
Well, who's traveling these days? You know?
I know, but you know, people still have vacation plans, they could be doing something, I just can't.
Well, we're just talking about us.
It didn't affect nobody but us,
That's true, that's true.
more of us.
I'm cool with it.
And if not, we can go to October 7th, anybody, well, we don't know if any of you guys, I don't know if you guys got plans for the,
I have planned for the 7th, so that's down.
I'm good for the 14th.
I'm good for that.
Me too.
doesn't hurt my feelings, I'm just making sure you guys don't have travel plans.
It hurts my feelings.
I'm certain.
Go somewhere.
He's not standing there right now. Okay, so, okay. Okay, so moving on, we got the 14th.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion by Dennis Callahan, second by Tim Cason. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All against? Done. Thank you for coming in, everybody, today. I appreciate that.
What time do you have?